Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So honey, we're going to call this video More Money, More Problems. Y'all, I'm going to try and put 2 and 2 together in this video like it equals 4 in real life. For real. So Winter Harris, y'all remember Winter Harris, who was on LAMH DC with Monique Samuels, right? Well, she did a YouTube live on her YouTube channel, and honey, she has a theory about all that is going on Love and Marriage Huntsville this season, and I almost want to agree with this theory that she came up with. So honey, let's talk about this theory. Now, Melody revealed on her recent TikTok live that when she was on Carlos's King podcast called Reality with the King Stand Up Live, and they did the podcast in front of a live studio audience, most of the cast was still negotiating their contracts. That's why they didn't attend the live podcast. Now, we know that the podcast that Carlos King invited Melody on with him was aired as episode 2 on this season 8 of Love and Marriage Huntsville, and the only people to attend was Stormi, Sunny, and Moses. And it makes me think, now, was Stormi, Sunny, and Moses the only ones who had finalized their contract at the time other than Melody Shari? Stormi has had a lot of camera time this season, honey. She has been involved in a lot of storylines, and so maybe by the time, that Carlos King's live podcast happened, she had already negotiated her contract. And Sunny and Moses, with them being so new, their contract was easy peasy because they couldn't really ask for anything because this was their first season. Hence why I believe all 3 of them was there at the podcast. I don't just think Carlos King thought of that bright idea just to say, hey, let's invite them to this live podcast. I think that it was very strategic. And y'all, this is just theory talk. This is for entertainment purposes, but I really believe that there's much more context to the story because these girls aren't getting along in real life, and they are not loyal to anyone but themselves. So the rest of the cast said that they didn't show up to Carlos's King live podcast because they feared the Melometers, but that's a lie. Y'all, Melody says that's a lie. She said when everybody's contract was favorable in the way how they wanted them to be, they signed their contracts, and then that's when they started to film.
There was not no fear of no Melometers. No, it wasn't. I guess they went and shot that pickup scene at some point and put it in there like that when everybody's contracts got favorable or how they wanted them to be. Okay, so stop playing with me. No.
So being that they didn't start filming until after Carlos's King live podcast, production had to find a way to fit the other cast members into the storyline about why they didn't attend the podcast. So us as fans, we're looking at TV, but behind the scenes, there's something completely different going on the back end. And so there's something called a pickup scene that I believe was done with Letitia, Kimmy, Miss Neil, and Destiny, where they sat down to explain why they didn't come to the live podcast. There was even an episode where I remember Miss Neil explaining to Melody, I believe they were like at some kind of tennis court, where Miss Neil was explaining to Melody why she didn't attend, but it was because really they were negotiating contracts. Nobody was fearful of the Melometers, but that's the story they're trying to run with, and that's why Melody keeps saying the Melometers are not a threat, but that's the storyline that they continue to tell us that they're continuing to roll with. But the real reason is because they were negotiating contracts, allegedly. And I have to say allegedly because these words are coming from Melody and from Winter. So production had to do this thing called a pickup scene. And again, Melody says this was done after the live podcast was filmed. I just want y'all to keep that in mind. Now, I want y'all to understand that this is a real thing. When production is filming a reality TV, a pickup scene is a real thing. Melody mentioned this terminology on her TikTok live the other day, and then Winter Harris highlighted it on her YouTube channel when she went live last week. And so I did a Google search, and I typed in what the meaning of the words pickup scene meant, and it says in reality TV, a pickup scene is a retake of a scene or a line shot after the main scene has been filmed. It's usually used to correct mistakes or to cover up content or provide alternate options for post-production to use it in the edit. So, Melody said this so slick on her TikTok live the other day that I heard it, but I didn't hear it. And I didn't put the pieces of the puzzle together until Winter repeated it. So, I'm just trying to give credit where credit is due. Now, Winter continues by saying there's a YouTube channel called When Tay Talks, and Tay revealed on her channel why the Melometers were integrated in the storyline in the first place on this season 8 of Love and Marriage Huntsville. So For those of you who are watching this YouTube video, honey, and you are a Melometer and you want to know why you were ingraded into the storyline in the first place on this season, according to Melody and Winter, it's because several cast members were still negotiating their contracts, meaning they were probably holding out on filming for more money. And honey, now that these checks are signed, sealed, and delivered, according to Winter Harris, there's an expectation for those who renegotiated their contract. There's also an expectation for that person or persons to deliver more compelling content. This can mean going after the main cast member like Melody, y'all, more aggressively. So during the St. Thomas trip, where this was the first girls trip, I now understand why there was so much division, so much complaining, and why Melody asked her friends Dr. Shanita and Lauren to attend the trip. Because according to Winter Harris, and based on her own experience as a working body under the umbrella of Kingdom Reign, production now expects for you to bring it, right? And they expect for you not to be fearful or go after the main people on the show, she says. When Love and Marriage Huntsville contracts increase, the expectation of their performance was expected to increase, meaning they couldn't be afraid to go after Melody in any capacity. And honey, let's just take it a step further outside of what Winter is saying without calling names and ask, who are these higher ups? The higher ups put their demands on the production team, who in turn put their demands on the cast, hoping to convert what the demands are. It's a system that constantly continues to trickle down. So in my mind, I can hear production saying, you better bring it, Letitia. You better bring it, Miss Neil. Destiny. Honey, you better bring it. You can't be afraid to go after the head person. So y'all, before I wrap up this video, honey, I just want to say that this was juicy to me. Honey, this was juicy tea to me. I know there are always two sides to a story, and I think I like this side a whole lot better. I would have loved for the other ladies to admit we were just having contract negotiation situations. That's why we wasn't able to attend the live podcast, because at the end of the day, that stuff is real. The struggle is real out here, and it adds layers and depth to the story. We could have then talked about girl code, but at the end of the day, filtering in this would have made the storyline more interesting. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Leave yours at the comment section of this video. As always, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.